Everyone makes resolutions at the end of the year. But what if yours was the only one that actually meant life or death? If you think resolutions are harmless promises, then listen carefully. Because the one I made last year wasn't about health, success, or becoming a better person. My resolution was simple: survive, and I swear to you, something out there did everything it could to make sure I didn't. I never cared about New Year's resolutions. I always thought they were temporary lies we told ourselves, promises we broke within days, fantasies we pretended were achievable. But last year, I made one resolution that wasn't about losing weight or fixing my life or pretending the next 12 months would magically turn me into someone better. My resolution was simple, terrifyingly simple. I promised myself I would survive. And if you think that sounds dramatic, I understand. I used to think the same. But that was before the strange messages, before the silence, before the shadows that started moving where no shadows should exist. Before I learned the truth about the thing that had been watching me long before I ever noticed it. It began on December 28th, an ordinary day disguised in the cold gray monotony of winter. I was returning home from the last miserable shift of the year at a job I hated, walking through the stale, icy air, my breath forming pale clouds that vanished quickly in the wind. The streets were decorated with lights that blinked weakly as if exhausted from the holidays. People hurried past me, bundled in scarves and false cheer, clutching shopping bags and leftover joy. I felt detached from all of it. I'd been feeling detached from everything since the summer, when strange things began happening, objects shifting places, lights flickering only in my apartment, the constant sensation that someone was standing just behind me. I tried to rationalize everything: stress, lack of sleep, depression, but deep down I knew it was something else, something watching, something patient. When I reached my building, the lobby lights flickered violently as I entered. The front desk attendant, Mr. Hill, didn't look up from his crossword puzzle. He rarely did. I pressed the elevator button, rubbing my numb fingers together, and waited. The building's ancient elevator groaned its way down from the upper floors. But when the doors opened, there was something inside. A folded note sitting in the center of the floor as if placed deliberately. No one else was there. No neighbor rushing out, no forgotten junk mail, just the note. My name was written on the front, in handwriting I didn't recognize. I picked it up, and the paper felt colder than the December air. I unfolded it. 5 words were written inside. Do not stay tonight. Leave. My heart lurched. Someone was pranking me, I thought. Or someone had the wrong person. But the handwriting. It felt intentional, the loops and slants too careful to be random. I crumpled the note, shoved it into my pocket, and told myself I wouldn't let paranoia ruin my evening. I stepped into the elevator. As the doors closed, the lights flickered again once, twice, then stabilized. The ride was slow, sluggish as always, groaning like a machine begging for retirement. When I reached the 8th floor, I got out and walked toward my apartment. The hallway felt colder than usual. My footsteps echoed strangely, too loud in a corridor that had carpeting. When I reached my door, I froze. Another note was taped to it. Same handwriting, same cold paper. It knows you're home. I ripped it off, my pulse hammering in my neck. Enough was enough. Someone was messing with me, and I wasn't playing along. I unlocked my door and stepped inside. The moment I crossed the threshold, an awful heaviness settled over the apartment. The air felt thick, damp, heavy like a cellar sealed shut for years. My breath came out in faint white puffs, colder inside than out. I turned on the light. It flickered like a dying candle, but stayed on. Everything looked normal. My couch, my kitchen, my messy pile of receipts on the table. But something felt wrong, like I was in a copy of my home, not the real one. My phone buzzed, a text from an unknown number. Why did you come back? I stared at the screen, hands trembling. I typed back, who is this? 3 dots appeared immediately, as if the sender had been waiting. You made a resolution to survive? Leave now. A cold shiver slid down my spine. I deleted the messages, shoved the phone into my pocket, and paced the living room, trying to gather my thoughts. I told myself to breathe, to focus, to stop letting fear control me. But then the sound started. A soft scraping, coming from the bedroom. I stopped breathing. The scraping grew slower, like fingernails dragging across wood. My bedroom door was slightly open, a thin sliver of darkness leaking into the hallway. I stepped toward it, each footstep louder than the last. "Hello?" I whispered. No answer. I pushed the door open. The room was pitch black. The light switch didn't work. I felt along the wall for the lamp near my bed. My fingers brushed the switch. I turned it on and immediately wished I hadn't. Something was standing in the corner of my room, tall, too tall. Its arms hung unnaturally long, its fingers grazing the floor. Its head was bent downward, like it was avoiding the light, or like its neck couldn't support the weight of whatever face it had. I couldn't see its features. It was a silhouette of wrong angles. It didn't move. It didn't breathe. It just existed. Watching, waiting, my scream got stuck in my throat. I stumbled backward, knocking over the lamp. The room plunged back into darkness. I ran. I didn't grab anything, not my bag, not my coat, not even my phone. I bolted out the door and sprinted down the hallway. The apartment behind me let out a deep, groaning sound, like the walls were shifting, like the creature was stretching its limbs. When I reached the elevator, I didn't wait for it. I shoved open the stairwell door and flew down the stairs, nearly slipping several times. The entire time I felt it behind me, not chasing, simply existing too close. I burst into the lobby, gasping for air. Mr. Hill looked up for the first time in months. His eyes widened. "Kid," he whispered, "you weren't supposed to see it yet." My blood turned to ice. What do you mean?" Before I could finish, the front doors slammed shut on their own. The lobby lights flickered violently, buzzing like angry insects. Mr. Hill stood up slowly, clutching the counter for support. "Once it notices you," he said, "it doesn't stop. It watches until the year ends. And if you make it to the new year alive, it chooses someone else." The note's words echoed in my head. My resolution was to survive. "What happens if I don't?" I asked. He didn't answer. He didn't need to. The lights went out. The scraping sound returned closer this time, coming from the ceiling. I ran out of the lobby and into the freezing night. I didn't stop running until my lungs felt like they were tearing themselves apart. I didn't sleep. I checked into a cheap motel far outside the city and barricaded the door with a dresser, a chair, and my own trembling body. But the creature wasn't bound to the building, or the room, or the city. Every night until New Year's Eve, it appeared somewhere new, in a window, in a reflection, in the shadows under the bed, never closer than a few feet. Never touching me, only watching, only waiting, counting down the days. The text continued too. "Don't let it touch you. Don't fall asleep. Don't look directly at its face." I didn't know who was sending them. I didn't care. I was too busy listening to my heartbeat war drum through my skull, too busy counting the hours until the year ended, too busy praying that whatever ritual this thing followed would spare me if I survived until midnight. When December 31st finally came, I sat in the motel room, my back pressed against the wall, eyes wide open, a knife clutched uselessly in my shaking hands. At 11:58 p.m., the temperature dropped so suddenly frost formed on the window. My breath came out in thick clouds. The creature appeared in the corner of the room, rising from the shadow like smoke forming into bone. Its head tilted slowly. Its long arms dragged against the carpet as it began to move toward me for the first time. I checked the time. 11 hours, 59 minutes, and 20 seconds. 40 seconds. I pressed myself into the wall. The creature moved faster. Its limbs bent like branches breaking in reverse, its head twitching in unnatural angles. 11 hours, 59 minutes, and 40 seconds. 20 seconds. It was inches away now. Close enough that the air around me thickened, vibrating like a dying heartbeat. 11 hours, 59 minutes, and 55 seconds. 5 seconds. Its hand rose slowly. I clenched my teeth and squeezed my eyes shut. 11 hours, 59 minutes, and 58 seconds. A whisper crawled into my ear. "If you look at me, you lose." 11 hours, 59 minutes, and 59 seconds. The creature's fingers hovered above my chest. 12 hours, 0 minutes, and 0 seconds. Silence. The air warmed. The pressure vanished. When I opened my eyes, the creature was gone. The motel room was normal again. My phone buzzed, a new text. "Happy New Year?" Someone else has been chosen. I collapsed on the floor, sobbing and laughing at the same time. I didn't know who would be next. I didn't want to know. All I knew was that my resolution had been fulfilled. I survived. But I also knew this next year, someone else will be making the same resolution. And not everyone succeeds. If you want to know who the creature chooses next, what happens when the next year begins, and why the resolution to survive might be the only one that matters, let me know. The countdown has already started, the shadows are shifting, and someone out there just became its new target. Before the next midnight comes, subscribe, stay aware, and whatever you do, don't make a resolution you aren't ready to die for.